Today we're going to talk about how to make this lovely heart for Valentine's Day, complete with arrow shot by Cupid. Let's get started. Go ahead and start a new design. To keep with good practice, let's go ahead and save this. We'll call it Valentine's Heart. Very first step we're going to do is select new component, and we'll call this the heart or the body of the heart, however you want to say it. And we'll begin with a new sketch. I always pick the XY plane. For me, that is the front plane. So I've gone ahead and put us a side by side together. We're going to start with the line from the origin. I'm going to go up and I'm going to make this a dimension of 4 inches. I'll kind of move that down here so we can see it a little bit better. Up here at the top, I'm going to create a couple of circles. They're both going to have 3 inches of diameter. So I'll create one there, and I'm just going to come over here and create the other one. Both of the center points are 4 inches above the origin. So pretty much like that guideline we put in. Same thing over here. So 4 inches above origin. Now from the end of the 4-inch line we started with to the center of the circle, that should be a distance of 1.5. We'll do the same thing on both of these circles. Again, here's another 1.5. While we're up here, we're going to go ahead and put a circle in at the top, and I'm going to dimension it to be 1 inch. And the only trick here is I'm just going to say tangent constraint here. I click the little circle and the big circle. Same thing going on here. Now I'll take a line tool and I'm going to connect the big circles to the origin. And one more time I'll use that tangent constraint and I'll say the line to the big circle on both sides. Now I don't necessarily want this point down here, so while I'm here in the modify section, there's fillet. So we'll press fillet there. We'll take this line, and what I want to do is create a 0.5-inch fillet there. Right? So there is our sketch. I'm going to go ahead and click Finish Sketch. And I'll extrude now. So I'm just going to click the hearts itself. I'm going to leave that little circle at the top alone. I'm just using it really to get that bottom line. Now what I'll do here is I'm going to say for direction. I'm going to make that say symmetric. And I want this to be a 0.125-inch extrusion. So when we take a look at it, going to look at something like this. Now forgive me, I'm going to turn our display settings from visual, so I like to use shaded with visible edges only while I'm creating a part, and then I'll turn things back off. Alright, so there's kind of the heart of it. Alright, next up what we want to do is we want to put a mid plane in there that we're going to use in just a little bit. So to do that, we'll go up here to construct, and we're going to say mid plane. And I'm going to click one side of the heart and then rotate it to the other side. Press escape and click the other side. And then just click OK. What that does is put a plane smack dab in the middle of the heart. We're going to use that in just a minute. First thing though, what we're going to do is thicken up the heart a little bit. So we're going to make an offset plane. So to do that, I go to construct. I choose offset plane. I'll click here and I'm just going to drag it out. This should be a distance of 0.75. So just to rotate it around and look at it, that's what we got right now. I'm going to create a sketch on that new plane we just offset. And to get this heart up there, I'm going to have to press P for project or go to create and project. Same difference will get me there. Okay. I am just going to kind of click right into the middle of the heart and it'll select all the lines of the heart and I'll press OK. What I want to do is do an offset here. So we're going to do an offset. And I'll click in here on the lines of the heart and just let's make that a distance of 0.5. Right? And I'll click Finish Sketch. Let's take a look here. So what we've got here is we've got a smaller heart drawn outside. That's perfect. So we're going to use Loft. It's Create and then Loft. I'm going to click this inside heart and then the face of the heart that we created before. So, okay. Something going like that. Now what we'll do is we're going to take a fillet. just going to click right here, and let's make that a fillet of 0.5, so that kind of rounds that off for us. Right, so we've got a 0.5 fillet. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of drawing the complete other side, I'm going to just mirror it over. That's why we put the midpoint in. So I'll go up to Create. I'm going to choose Mirror. Rather than do everything at the same, well, one by one, I am going to do everything at the same time. For object type, make sure that this says Features. And then for objects, we're going to select the fillet as well as the loft. So we've got two objects selected. For our mirror plane, we're going to click Select and click that mid plane. And that will mirror it to both sides. That'll mirror it to both sides. What we can do is we can go ahead, let's expand this heart component here. And let's go to construction here, and let's turn off, let's turn the visibility off of those planes. That might help us out a little bit. I'll go ahead and click Home here. Now what we want to do is create the hole that the heart, or excuse me, that the arrow is going to go through. So to do this, I'm going to say Construct. I'm going to say Tangent Plane. I'm going to click right up here on this flatter edge of the curve. And I'm going to drag this little dot. I want this to be -45 degrees. Okay, so I can actually rotate that. So I've got a tangent plane in. Now what I'll do is I'll click Sketch and click on our brand new tangent plane. Come over here somewhere, and I'm going to draw a circle. And this circle needs to have a diameter of 0.25. And we're going to dimension it from center of the circle to origin. We're going to make that 1.5. While I'm here, just so there's no funny business, I'm going to use the horizontal vertical constraint. I'll click the center of the circle and the origin, and that lines them up pretty good. Finish the sketch now, and we're going to extrude it. And I'm going to take this and just kind of cut it on through the entire body of the heart. Doesn't really matter the distance as long as we get it through there. So I'll click OK. So there we go. We've got a hole for that. Next up is the arrow. Well, let's take a look. Let's click Home here. And our next step, we need to activate the entire assembly before we put in a new component. So we'll go up here to the top and we'll activate everything. We'll click New Component. And for the name, let's make it say Arrow. Now, before we move on here, what we should do is we should activate that tangent plane, because we're going to need that thing. Remember that tangent plane we just used to put this hole in? So here's heart, and I still have the construction expanded. Just turn the visibility off on that last plane, which should be plane 3. Right, so now I'll click New Sketch. I'm going to click on that plane we just drew. And I'm going to kind of zoom in, and you could just project these two lines. I'm just going to take a circle, put it right there in the middle, and this needs to have a dimension of 0.25. And I'm going to press E for extrude, or finish sketch and then extrude, either way. Rotate that though so we can see it. We're going to actually make a couple of extrusions here. So the first one, we're going to go down through that. I'm going to say -7. And then I'm going to press extrude again. I'm going to hit this top part. I'm going to come up 1.5 inches. Okay, so if I look at the front view, this is kind of what I'm at. Right, go ahead and click the home view. What I think we'll do next though is we're going to put the arrow tip on, so the area down here. So rotate that around a little bit. Zoom in. And I'm going to say New Sketch. Click right here on the end of the arrow body. And I'm going to create a circle here, right there on the center of it. That's 0.5. I'm going to finish that sketch. There's something going like that. Now I'm going to loft a plane out. So go to Construct and say Offset. Go off the end of the arrow body. Come out a distance of, say, 0.5. Something like that. Now we'll sketch on that lofted plane. I'm going to use another circle right there on that same center point. And this will be 0.063, which is a 1/16 of an inch. Gotta rotate it so I can see it. I can go ahead and click Finish Sketch. Now go to create, and I'm going to say loft. I'm going to click the circle there and the circle there, and now we've got that arrow tip. While we're here, let's make that look a little prettier. Let's take a fillet, and let's go right down here, and let's make that 0.5. That looks a little cleaner. So let's click that home icon and see where we're at. So we've got an arrow tip, and now we need to do the arrow tail. So let's do that. If you haven't already, we're going to need to turn this origin back on, turn that visibility back on. We're going to need those planes in just a second. So we're going to say new sketch, and we're going to go back to that front plane. So for me, it's XY. We're going to come up here and kind of focus on this area. What we've got to do, though, is we've got to project this. So remember, create and project, or just press P. I want that line right there. And say OK. So now I'm going to take the line tool. I'm going to find the midpoint of this projected line. So there it is. I'm going to go up this way. This needs to be a distance of 0.75, and it should be 90 degrees. So we've got something like this. I'm going to come out of the same midpoint, and I'm going to go straight this way. This is a 0.75, and your angle on that's going to be 0. Got something happening like that. Now watch, before I click Finish Sketch, I'm going to rotate it so I can see the end of the arrow body. Let's click Finish Sketch now. We're going to go to Create. We're going to say Sweep. So for Profile, I'm going to select the end of the arrow body. For Path, I'll click the lines. And I've got OK there. Now what I'll do, these can kind of come out a little bit. And let's do that. I think I'll just go to Extrude. I'll click that and that. I'm just going to drag them out. Let's make that a distance of 0.5. So something like that. Now what we need to do is we just need to clean things up a little bit. So I'm going to take the fillet tool. I'm going to get between the arrow body and the tails. I'm going to click that edge, and this should be a 1.25 fillet. So it rounds out pretty good. Now we'll rotate around to the inside. So we're looking at this area right here. Click fillet again. I'm going to click there, and let's make this 0.375. Looking good. Finally, we'll do a fillet again. We'll sound this inside edge of the tail here and here. Let's make that 0.75. All right, let's click the home button. And it looks like we've got our two pieces. All right, so let's finish it up. Let's do a little cleanup on this. I'm going to go ahead and activate the entire assembly. So we'll go up to the top here. I'm going to turn a couple of things off. I'm going to turn the origin off now. And any other things that are kind of in the way. I'm going to change some colors here. So I'm going to press A for appearance. And this will pop up for us, which is great. We want to make sure we're in Fusion Appearances here. And then we're going to go down to Paint. We're going to look at Glossy. I'm going to drag red over for the heart. And then for the arrow, you could start with yellow and just drag it over. I'm going to right click on the sphere up here in this design. I'm going to right click on it and say edit. Maybe you want more of a golds in there. In the demo model, I just made it white. So I typed in 255 for all of these. And I made it straight white, and I'll click done. We'll close it. Now, another thing to clean this up a little bit, let's go down to visual styles here, or display settings rather, then to visual styles. Now let's just click shaded. That gets rid of all those lines in there. It makes it look really pretty. Finally, we need to put a joint in between these things because right now this arrow moves. Okay, so let's undo that. And let's say assemble. And let's say as built joint. And all I'm going to do is click the arrow and the heart and make sure the type here says rigid. And we'll click OK. Now notice that joint icon shows up, so I can turn that visibility off as well right here. Right. Go ahead and click home, And there you have it. Congratulations, you've created your lovely Valentine's Day heart.